Hello and welcome. Today we will be talking about one of my new favorite builds. This is Wildheart Barbarian 6 using Tiger and Wolverine, Vengeance Paladin 2, and Spore Druid 4. Sounds like a weird mix, but man, you're gonna love it. Now let's start off with the normal example as always. So we rage, we use Tiger's Bloodlust. And if you notice here, we healed 6 points per each hit. And then, watch my health, 6 more per smite. Now I wanted to make sure that was clear. Now we're going to watch just a few attacks here to see something. Hopefully we can see a little bit of it. Notice a lot of guys have orbs already. And it's only going to get worse for them. This one I want to show a little bit more because as you see right there, he has bleed proc. And then that proc the radiant damage, proc the reverb, and this is what happened. He fell over. Now he is prone, and watch this. Oh, now he's dead, but he would have been maimed. Now maim is a very important condition in this game because even though people don't realize it, you'll see here, prone makes it so you need to spend half your movement to stand up, while maimed reduces your movement speed to 0. They also each give you a disadvantage on different saves. This gives you a disadvantage on dex, this gives you a disadvantage on strength and dex, so you get strength and dex total. And then this will give you minus a penalty to all physical saves. So already you're starting to see what the build's about. Now the point being though, if someone's prone and maimed, they can't get up. So this guy can't get up. Now, this build seems pretty great already, but let's explain how we get there, as always. So starting off, you won't see much of this build showing up at level 3. You will have the Tiger Rage, and you will have your Tiger's Bloodlust, which is the Cleave Attack that can be used with any weapon. Now that's the key part of part 1 here. Your cleave can be used with any weapon. Usually cleaves can only be used once per fight and with only certain weapons that have them. As you'll see here, I actually have a weapon with cleave naturally in this early part of the game. Blooded Great Axe. But this cleave, Tiger's Bloodlust, lashes out against 3 enemies just like normal cleave, does half normal base damage, just like normal cleave, but it also bleeds the targets, and it can be used any number of times. Now, we'll look at the gear here first. Like I said, it's not that impressive yet. We got plus 10 movement speed. We got Caustic Band, just a little damage early on. Because I'm using Astarion, I use Broodmother's Revenge. Whenever you're healed, you get extra poison damage on your weapon. And because Astarion has the Vampire Bite, he can heal himself. So use this, heal, and then this gives you a damage buff. Now I use Swiresy Shoes because your jumping distance is increased by 5. My first feat at level 4 was also Athlete, which it doesn't say it here, but Athlete also increases your jumping. Now Tiger Rage also increases your jump distance by 15. So that total increase of 20, plus then when you have the Athlete bonus, I think it's a 1.5 multiplier, you're actually getting 30 feet of jump distance, which is pretty huge at level 4. And so Gloves of Power, easy debuff gloves early game, and then we have Luminous Armor on. We're not actually utilizing the power it has yet, just a good medium armor early game. But we will be utilizing that Radiant Shockwave later, so we'll get to that. Haste Helm, at the start of combat, gain momentum, so more movement speed. This guy's all movement and all jumping. And you'll see here, even with like non-rage, look how far I can jump. Now, that's really good because early on, you don't have a lot of ways to do much with your range attacks. I have a normal short bow, so you want to make sure you can get melee. And with this weapon, even when you get low as a barbarian, you'll do a little extra damage. So that's why I use this. But let's move straight on from there. The only important choices there, I'll reiterate, are that you need to, at level 3, take Wildheart Barbarian for Tiger. This is a Tiger Rage build. And then at level 4, your first feat, you will take Athlete. It'll give +1 to Strength. I'm not sure if I went over that, but you'll give yourself +1 to Strength. Now, here at level 6, you actually have all the levels of Barbarian you're going to take. So, and the gear has changed drastically. Here's where the real aspects of the build start to show up, and you actually have the real core of the build from here on, level 6. And it's great. So, the key weapon here is Shattered Flail. Hitting an enemy with this weapon heals the wielder for 1 to 6 hit points, but they can go mad if they don't continue hitting an enemy each turn. Now, I will note, going mad can happen, but if you're careful, this only happens maybe 2 or 3 times an entire playthrough. And it also only works if you hit an enemy with this weapon. If you hit them with your bow, it doesn't do anything. So you gotta hit them with the Shattered Flail. Make sure you hit them with the Shattered Flail. Regardless though, it heals 1 to 6, you remember that. Now we'll go over here, and we have Periaptive Wound Closure. Wind down, automatically stabilize the end of turn. Or start of turn, sorry. That's nice, but the real reason we're using it is maximize the number of hit points restored. Now that is great, but what does that really mean? Now the first thing it means is this 1 to 6 that you heal right here means you heal 6 on every hit with this weapon. Not just 1 to 6, but 6. And that means with Tiger's Bloodlust, when you cleave and hit up to 3 enemies at once, you're healing for 6 per enemy hit. So if you hit all 3 enemies, which as a barbarian with Reckless Attack, getting advantage on any attacks, it's pretty likely. If you attack 3 enemies at once, you get 18 health back. I mean, at this level, I only have 59 health. If I heal, I can attack twice a turn, heal 18 per attack, and I can heal 36. That's more than half my health. And after that, I still have a bonus action. So if I wanted to, I could go over here and be like, oh, I need a greater healing potion. This heals for 8 to 20, but because you have that amulet, the Periaptive Wound Closure, all potions actually heal you for full 2. So this heals for 20. So I could do the 2 cleaves, heal 36, and then heal 20 more with the potion. That's 56 out of my 59 health. Okay, now, that might not be that impressive to you, but besides that, we got some good stuff here too. We got a decent AC. I'm wearing Ring of Protection, still wearing Caustic Band. We got Titan String Bow, because we're a strength user. It's a good bow early in the game, and you don't really use your range attack much. So you could also just pump on the one that gives you an initiative bonus, but I had that on someone else in this playthrough. Wood Woad Shield. This is a great item because in the early part of the game, you don't have a lot of uses for your bonus action as this build, besides raging and then biting them if you're Astarion. But with Wood Woad Shield, this gives you another bonus action use, because this is an ensnare that also is used as a bonus action once per short rest. Not bad at all. And I mean, with this, the bite and the rage, that means 3 turns you've already used up your bonus actions. And that means most combats are only going to take 3 to 5 turns anyway. Other items, now we put on the Boots of Stormy Clamor. Great boots. Now this starts the other half of the build and why it's important. Now, one thing I haven't explained yet is when we hit level 6 Barbarian, we get access to an aspect. That aspect we chose is Wolverine. I mentioned it in the start of the video. When you attack a bleeding or poisoned target, you also maim it for 1 turn. Now, remember I brought this up in the very start. Maim. Movement speed is reduced to 0 and has disadvantage on dex saves. Now, the movement speed reduced to 0 is the important part. Now, we just needed a way to instead prone them. This is where we start with Reverberation. Reverberation is affected entity has -1 to all physical saves per stack of Reverberation. When the entity has 5 or more stacks, it takes a small amount of thunder damage and possibly falls prone. The possibly falls prone is the important part. It's not a high check, but it's a dex save. And as we saw already with the other thing we were doing, the Maim, that's not there. With the Maim, that's a disadvantage on dex saves. And this will do 2 stacks of Reverberation every time you inflict a condition. Now, I've shown this in another video, but the way we're doing this early game is whenever you deal damage with a weapon attack, the target receives a -1d4 penalty to its saving throw against your next spell. The spell thing is not the important part. The important part is this is a 100% proc chance. Where many items have a chance to do something, this one always happens every attack, no matter what. Now, you also have the fact that when you do this Tiger's Bloodlust, it has a bleed. That is also a condition. So no matter what, as long as you're doing this or hitting them at all, you're going to be hitting a condition and you're going to be stacking reverb. Now the other items, we still have the armor, this is the same. And now we actually have a way to proc the Radiant Shockwave, so I'll explain it. Radiant Shockwave is whenever you deal radiant damage, you also inflict radiant orbs. 2 per time you do radiant damage, okay? So for now, this is the way we do radiant damage. Creatures who miss their attack rolls against the wearer must make a dex save, which again is going to be a disadvantage if they're maimed, or take 1 to 4 radiant. This also gives a +1 to con saves, which is nice. Nice little bonus. Next, you'll see, by the way, my stats here are a little bit off. You could lower these and raise these up, but I tried it with lower. It didn't work out, but you'll see later the true stats. And then, yeah, we've basically covered the items here, and we'll move on to the next part. In this part, I will also show you actually what I've been talking about. I know we showed a little bit in the start, but we'll show a little bit more. Now we've added, at these levels, we've hit level 8, so we're done completely with Barbarian. And we're moving on to Paladin. Now this does mean that because of the order, we will not get another feat until level 12, which does suck a little bit, don't get me wrong. But the feat we're choosing, you wouldn't want it yet anyway. Believe me, we'll get there. It doesn't work with anything we're doing. So yeah, you get Paladin now. Now, this doesn't look great. We only got 2 spell slots, so you're going to have to really know when you want to use them. But the Paladin still helps, and I'll show you why. Now, the shield, I chose to replace my old shield with this one. This one also has a bonus action use. It makes it so when people hit you, they take fire damage. And then I replaced, at this point, the gloves. Now, first, we'll explain this. On the Shattered Flail, I have thunder damage, you might see here. I'll show you right here. This comes from the item Drake Throat Glaive. You can drop an item on the ground, and then equip Drake Throat Glaive, and use Draconic Elemental Weapon, and imbue a weapon with this power, +1 attack bonus, and 1d4 of an element of your choice. I chose to do that on my Shattered Flail. That's why it has Elemental Weapon right here, as you'll see. I also needed to buff it with Light, and we'll show why that is in a second too. Now, we were talking about the Radiant Orbs from the armor. Now, because we have Radiant damage from Callous Glow Ring, deal 2 damage against creatures that are illuminated, any creature that's going to be hit with your weapon that's covered in light, right here, will be illuminated. And so because it has the thunder damage also, it'll proc this and inflict a lot of reverberation. Look how it does thunder damage, lightning, or radiant. So now, because also the attacks are radiant and thunder, it'll proc the armor on every attack, the gloves on every attack, the boots on every attack. Because they'll become reverberating, it'll also begin to proc the Ring of Spiteful Thunder. When the wearer deals thunder damage to a reverberating creature, it becomes dazed unless it succeeds on a Constitution saving throw. Other than that, there's only one new item, and finally we got a cape. Thunderskin Cloak. When a creature with reverberation deals damage to the wearer, the creature needs to make a Constitution saving throw or become dazed. Guess what? That dazed and the other dazed are also conditions. Those conditions also add stacks of reverberation now. And every attack in the Cleave adds not only stacks of reverberation, but also radiant orbs. And now we're going to start to see what that really looks like. And again, this is level 8. This is not too far into the game. Now, there's the 3+6s there for healing. Great. We'll look at some of the numbers here. So each of them got hit for about 15, 12, and 11. So not bad. Overall, that's about a 38 damage cleave. And then they also all received Maimed radiating orbs. Maimed radiating orbs. Then look, some of them even lost their reverberation because the reverberation procced. Now I can look at them. This guy got knocked prone, so I don't have to worry about him. This guy did not get knocked prone. So it's hard to tell which is which sometimes. This guy also did not get knocked prone, so he's easier to tell, so we'll choose him. He gets the smite. Boom. Now look, that procs more orbs. It procs more heals. And it had another chance to get that reverberation stack high enough. Didn't quite get it high enough, but it helped. And now, you'll just see, they each have, what, 6 orbs, 8 orbs, and 8 orbs. Each orb is a -1 to attack per stack. So that's -8 to attack. My AC against these guys is effectively 8 higher. I'm wearing a speed potion right now, but... So yeah, basically a 29 AC at level 8 against those couple guys. Here, we'll do not react on these ones. Let them fall over. And I'll do another cleave into their face. We'll save it. We'll save it. And I'll move over here. So that guy tried to attack me just there. He missed. Failed it. Took radiant damage. And died. Okay, they're all dead. And... You know what? I have so much movement, I might as well just come back here. Try to finish a few more off. And see, when you want to do that little extra damage to finish them, you can just click it. Now again, I've used all my slots already. It's not the greatest, but I still have access to this Inquisitor's Might, which is quite nice. For 2 turns, you can get radiant damage. This is again another way to help in case in a fight, for example, this one, there's monsters like this that can take the light off of your weapon. And so this will put radiant damage back on when the light has been taken off. And this does daze on its own, another condition, another stack. And at this point, Astarion could basically take this entire side of the map by himself. And my other 3 teammates could fight the entire other side. That's how good this build is. I used this build, by the way, in my honor run that I completed, the first one at least. And I barely needed other characters. This build doesn't rely on any kind of DRS abuse. It only is power. Even with the madness, it never came enough into play. Here's my gas cloud build. All right, so let's just go on then to level 10. Now we have only minor additions in terms of gear from here on until level 12, but we do start adding Spore Druid now. Now the first reason that's important is Spore Druid adds a lot of caster levels that we don't have yet. Paladin's only a half caster. Spore Druid is a full caster. Great, now we have a whole bunch more spell slots to work with than the 2 level 1 spell slots, right? They aren't that many. But we also get Symbiotic Entity. Now, this doesn't come into play too much for its damage, but Symbiotic Entity, I'll show you right here. We'll use it. It gives you temporary hit points based on 4 times your Spore Druid levels. At this level, we are 6 Barbs, 2 Paladin, and 2 Spore Druid. This will give you 1 to 6 necrotic damage while you have the temporary HP on, and double damage with your Halo of Spores, which we'll talk about in a sec. Now, this doesn't come into play too much, but for now, it's really a free 8 temporary hit points. It doesn't sound like that much, but it's free. Not doing anything for it, and you can use it twice per long rest. Or per short rest, actually. Excuse me. Now, Halo of Spores. This ability actually is very useful for this build. It does 1d4 necrotic, but it also procs Callous Glow Ring, which means it actually procs Maim and Reverb when you damage guys. So this becomes a way to keep your Maim and Reverb on enemies. It's a con save, and as you'll see with my stats now, I changed them and dumped Wiz fully, but even though I have a +0 to my Wisdom, the saves for Halo of Spores will generally be like a 20 to 40%, and it costs a reaction, not a bonus action or anything. So if you want to spend it, you can. And then if someone has Reverberation stacks already on them, that gives them a penalty to their con save. And if they have other things, they can have a disadvantage on their con save as well. And so this can actually lead to them falling over a lot of times. We'll show you that in a moment. Now, in terms of gear changes, we got the Dead Shot. Finally, a bow that really helps. This one adds to your crit range. This is already a build that has 2 Paladin in it, and because we have that in Smite, critting is very valuable for damage, because I have Smites on to ask on any attack, but automatic on crits because you get double the dice. And at this point, you'll see just from those 2 extra levels of Druid, instead of having only 2 level 1 slots, we have 4 level 1 slots and 2 level 2 slots. That's 6 Smites. And you can also use spells like Spike Growth, but we don't have access to that yet. Command is useful as well. We get that from Paladin, but you got to remember that the DC will be incredibly low. So in the end, I didn't really use this. I used all my slots for smiting. The fact that you get 3 chances to smite per cleave gives you a lot of uses of smite. Now, I upgraded my shield to Sentinel Shield, +3 to initiative and advantage on perception checks. Again, perception checks, not that important. But +3 to initiative, extremely important. Now, beyond that, we got nothing different. This is actually all the normal gear that we will be wearing even at the end, except for the weapon, which we will get to now. Now, like I said, we do finally get our last feat. Because our weapon is changing, that feat we're going to take is going to be Great Weapon Master. This gives you a -5 to hit, but it gives you a +10 on damage with a 2-handed weapon. Or rather, a weapon that you are wielding in 2 hands at the same time. Some people get confused because versatile weapons can be used with Great Weapon Master, as long as you have no other weapon in the other hand. But yes, it's a base +10. Now, the reason this is extremely important in this build is because your cleave does half damage, but things that come after that half damage do not get halved. And Great Weapon Master is one of those things. This means you get +10 damage on each guy in the swing. So that's a +30 damage per cleave. You can do 2 cleaves around, so that means that's an extra 60 damage from 1 feat. Now you will have a -5 to hit from this, which is a little rough. But you can offset that by the fact that you have a reckless attack, and you can use strength elixirs if you need to. Cloud Giant will get you to 27 strength, and this will give you enough of a bonus that you might be able to compensate. I didn't mind just swinging most of the time, and as I'll show you in a moment, we kept our strength at 18, I believe. You don't get a lot of room to improve it because we don't get a lot of feats. You could also get it higher if you used the strength items like the potion that gives a +2 permanent strength, or the mirror, but I did not use those in this playthrough, so it's not a big deal. Believe me, if you had +4 higher than this, you could hit a little bit better, but you don't need it, is the point I'm trying to make. I beat Honor Mode without it. Now, Sword of Chaos. This is the last upgrade of an item we use. We still put the thunder damage on it, but it also has its own base necrotic damage. And we still put the elemental weapon right there, and light, okay? But just like the Shattered Flail, this heals 1 to 6 hit points on hit. This is still maximized by our parry apt, but now we don't go mad. Bonus! It also has its own cleave if you ever need to use it when you either are out of rage or get knocked, or other reasons. So, yeah, that is literally it here. You'll see our spell slot total has gone up again quite a bit. We have level 3 slots, 2 of them, 3 level 2 and 4 level 1. And overall, that is the build. Now, one more time, we're going to analyze what it looks like when you're actually fighting. Hopefully I've explained everything enough, so now that when you see the things happen, you will see why everyone's getting covered in orbs and reverberation, and you're healing up to maybe 100 a turn. More if you need to. Alright, now, since we begin our rage, this will, actually I'll put everything here. This will give us resistance to physical damage, advantage on strength and checks and saving throws, and extra 2 damage per attack. The resistance to physical attacks really helps. And then immediately we can do our cleave. Now hopefully knock some guys over, but look, we missed one, right? This other one, I'm going to do an extra hit. Hopefully do a little bit more, but see, it wasn't enough to knock him down. But with the Halo, it's a 64% chance now, with that 4 stacks of reverb. And because he is bleeding, he has a disadvantage on con saves as well. The orbs give him the -6. He's got disadvantage on dex from this. Disadvantage on wisdom from dazed. Loses dex bonus to their AC. This guy is just completely devastated. Now, I didn't get to knock him over, but even without being knocked over, since he's maimed, and I walk away, this guy tried to hit me, proned himself. That guy can't make reactions against me. I was running over here. And so the real fun starts to begin when they start attacking you, but they're already debuffed, and they just keep knocking themselves over. And as you notice, just watch my health. As again, it starts. I started a little bit under max. I'm now at 96. And notice all these little hits, they don't do much, you know, hits for 6 to 8, maybe 10 at the most, because that resistance. Elemental attacks will do a lot, that's why I'm going for this mage lady back here. And see, again, this guy almost knocked himself over again, but he did get reverb stacks. Now, I'm now at 59, okay? I got pretty low right there. But I think first, I'll do this. So this guy got crit, and they both got missed, so that's a little rough. But they still got orbs from the shockwave. And the smite got procced from the crit. So, let's go. Let's see if they attack me. Oh, they can't. Because either they've used their reactions, or they have a daze, or something such. And then it just makes it free movement, basically. Now for her, I'm going to use my Great Weapon Master hit first. And just kill her. Wizard down. Now because that was my bonus action, I can come back out here, cleave again. I don't think I needed to, right? I think he's dead. Yeah, I think he's dead. And so I missed these guys again, but they got some orbs. This guy has 10 already, and so let's see if I can put some more on him. Nah, with the 20%, it's not going to work. Let's see if they have a chance, though. And notice, I'm back at 75, even though he just hit me. I was at 56 a second ago. I went up over 30. And I killed multiple enemies. And again, this is just one character in a usual party of characters. Ooh, she got some good hits. Ooh. It's getting a little spicy. Let's see if I'll live. Okay, I did. Just barely. Now, let's look at this advantage I was mentioning earlier. Let's find our best healing potion. Heals for up to 60. Look at that. I healed for 60. I was at 8. We'll remember that number. Now let's see. Okay, so she's prone and maimed. He's got a lot of reverb, so this is a pretty good chance. Oh, it didn't proc. But see, it did hit him. See what I'm saying? Even though I only had a 20% chance, usually I had a 64% chance there once he's actually started getting debuffed. And we'll just finish off the combat. Why not? I'm back at 110, by the way. That round I healed for 102 damage. I did have to use a potion. That guy just knocked himself over. But I assume by now you're seeing the point of this, and it'd be pretty much impossible at this point for them to ever overcome my healing. Unless I maybe got super debuffed, but I don't think they have anyone who can actually do those kind of debuffs anymore. So as long as you target the enemies who can do things to you, like the spellcaster, she can cast slow. And if she casted slow on me, this might be a little bit worse, because I only swing once, I couldn't use a potion the same round. Things like that. Okay, she's prone maimed again, so I'll ignore her for a moment. Okay, they're all prone maimed. I think I'll just add some extra damage. I'll do it next turn. I'll do the bite. And as you notice, that also did an AoE. Because it procced the reverb. And so yeah, now these guys around me just won't get up. No, never again. Their life is forfeit. And there we go. I don't think I need to finish off these last two to show you what you need to know. I think you get it at this point. I'm at max health again. I did run through a lot of spell slots, but I did just also go through an encounter that is meant for maybe an entire party. So, that is Barbarian 6, Paladin 2, Druid 4. I hope you enjoyed it. It's one of my favorites. Everyone should try this build at least once. Have a great day.